Hey guys, this is another Century story. Anna-Marie Lombard, founder and CEO of Century Intelligence Consulting. I'm going to continue on the sport theme, but I'm going to talk to you more about all of the 7 senses in sport. As you possibly can remember, the previous videos that I've done, both have been in my car, so at least today I'm in my office. And I talked about scuba diving and running, very much in particular, just concentrating on 2 senses. So I just want to elaborate a little bit more, bring the other senses in, because all 7 of our senses do play a role in any type of movement or any type of sport that we do. So let's just go back to vestibular and proprioception. Those 2 senses that I've referred to before definitely play center stage in any movement or any sport choice. Vestibular being in your inner ear, the receptor for the vestibular system is in your inner ear, and it actually consists of 5 little organs, and it gives you feedback on gravity and change or position of your head. It's like your body's GPS. So when your head goes forward or upwards, or you get disposed or getting away from gravity, your vestibular system really works hard. That's why, for instance, I get very anxious when I went scuba diving, because that whole gravity displacement for me did not work because of my vestibular sensitivity. So vestibular system, very important. Very much working with vestibular is proprioception. I know it's a long word and maybe an unfamiliar word for you, but we love proprioception because that is the input that gets sent through to your body and your brain whenever you move a muscle or a joint. So whenever there's muscle movement or a joint positioning change, your brain gets proprioceptive feedback. And in our world, proprioception is a universal modulator. I know that's also another big word, but it's a very powerful thing that I'm saying now. Proprioception have got capacity to calm, organize, and really arrange your brain when you feel stressed or anxious or totally out of kilter or distractible. So if we use any kind of heavy work against resistance in particular, so when we do harder and more forceful muscle movement, we increase proprioceptive processing, which then has even a stronger positive influence on the brain and the body. For instance, people that go weightlifting, they work very, very hard in the proprioceptive space. And they also, I think the studies have shown that if people go weight training or weightlifting, the impact of that is, for instance, longer than when you would, for instance, do aerobic exercise or just do an aerobic class. So from that point of view, it's the proprioception that are being utilized a lot more. So the third sense that we want to talk about is touch. Now, touch is top of your head right down to the soles of your feet in your skin. And we've got skin all over the body. It's our biggest receptor area. And obviously skin is where your body ends and the world begins. So it's kind of this unconscious subliminal barrier between you and the world around you. So obviously that's also important. As soon as you go into water, any kind of water sports literally utilizes the touch system very specifically. And we also know that if we go swimming or if we go into the water, then we use proprioception. So there's movement against the resistance of the water and the water pressure. That's why swimming as a sporting activity is also really, really well worth investigating into it and doing it for the capacity to organize, calm, and arrange the brain. And then obviously, if you double that up with cold water, there's even an added benefit because of the temperature of the water. Okay, so that's from a touch point of view. The other touch element, which is, I think, for a lot of people, not that, I think, obvious for, is if we go social sport. If we engage with other people or with groups, as soon as people come into your personal space, there's touch elements involved to it. And then any kind of contact sport would strongly utilize deep pressure and working with the touch system. Think wrestling, think jiu-jitsu, think all of those sport choices where there's a lot of rugby, where people tackle, there's a lot of tackling, that would also utilize the touch system. Then let's look at visual and auditory. And I think visual is one that's important to highlight, because in any kind of ball sports, you have to use visual because you have to watch, anticipate when the ball is coming in order to catch it. So a lot of eye-hand coordination, obviously very much involved in the visual system. And we have to observe that to actually act from a motor planning point of view and using your body in a coordinated manner for ball sports in particular. If I think visual, I think it let me go walk on the mountain because it's a calm environment and that's more of a visual calmer. So there's two different elements to it, but very important to consider the visual system as well. Auditory, what you hear. Now, if you play any competitive sport, you definitely need to use your auditory system to listen out for the whistle of your referee. But another important, or I think interesting element to look at, people who play professional competitive sport and they go into a big arena and there's all these crowds and there's cheering and stuff. Yes, while it is motivating and uplifting, it can also be a distraction. So I think important to just consider that for some people, the background noise when they are busy with sport might be a distraction, where others would absolutely love it. So we've done vestibular, proprioception, touch, auditory, and visual. Then smell. Smell is always it's one of a very interesting sense to work with. I know you were thinking like, what the hell have smell got to do with sport? And it's hard for me to imagine smell having an impact on sport because I don't smell things. I'm not aware of smells. I've got high thresholds for smells. But I bet you now on this call, people with sensitivity to smell or low thresholds for smell, I bet you that you hate to play group sport, social sport, team sport, where people are sweaty and they're going crazy and you are close to them. So body odor and the smell of sweat could definitely be off-putting for you. But we don't necessarily use smell in particular for sport enhancement. Well, there might be some out there, the weird one that I don't know about, but not off the cuff that I can think about. And then taste. Look, taste doesn't have an influence on sport. Yes, after a match or after a game, getting together with the guys, having a meal or having a drink, then obviously the taste buds starts to play a role. Taste is a very social sense, and it's also a very personal one. So hopefully that have just given you a little bit of a wider look on how all of the 7 senses play a role in sport. Central stage, vestibular and proprioception, but all of the others also are being utilized. In some sports more than others, and that's where our fascinating work comes in. If we understand your profile, your thresholds, what you enjoy and what you avoid, we can actually help you to pinpoint the right type of sport choices for you based on your thresholds and your genetic wiring. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, leave us a comment below, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. That would be great. And other than that, cheers for now. Stay safe and take care. Bye.